Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberals staged a major political comeback, retaining power in the recent federal elections. Now, experts say that this turnaround largely was due to a public backlash against US President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods, and also, of course, his controversial remarks suggesting that Canada could become the 51st US state. However, the election also produced some very interesting outcomes. The conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, despite his popularity and holding his seat for 20 long years, lost the seat in Ontario. New Democratic Party leader Jadgmeet Singh, known to be an overt Sikh extremist and also for his radical politics, lost his seat in Burnaby Central, and the party suffered its worst electoral result in history, falling to a single digit seat number. Now, after this, Singh also announced that he would step down as the leader. But what does this mean? Does Singh's defeat indicate a waning influence of Sikh separatist voices in Canadian politics? What implications do the election results hold for India Canada relations, which have been notably strained during Justin Trudeau's time? And how did this turn of events in the US influence the Canadian voter? To talk about all this, we are joined once again by Mr. Kushal Mehra, author who have been speaking about the outcome of the Canadian elections and India-Canada relations to us in the past. Welcome to the print, sir.
Namaste. Thank you for having me. This is Shahidanu Parnam to Jagmeet Singh for losing his seat from Burnaby, the great leader of the Punjabi community of Canada.
So before we start, I just want you to give our viewers an overview of, what this election result really means for Canada and what really resonated with the Canadian voters that Mr. Carney is now in power.
Well, on both sides, there was a giant consolidation of the vote bank. So it's not just the consolidation of the Canadian left. It was a Canadian right consolidation too. So if you look at the overall numbers, right, PPC, which was another right-wing party, which was formed by Maxime Bernier in the last election, they had 5% of the votes in the last election, but this time got less than 0.7%. No, sorry, less than 1%. It was at 0.7%. So there was a consolidation at the right wing of the aisle too. But what the reality of Canadian society is that Canada is a very left-leaning society where even the Canadian right is actually not right. They're centrist. So what is called right wing in Canada is actually basically a centrist outfit. It's like they are not anti-abortion. Canadian right wing. People often think, they're just like Republicans in America where abortion is an issue and Roe v. Wade and stuff like that. Those are not Canadian issues. The Canadian right is more, classic fiscal conservatism, less taxes. We want more resources to be used, stuff like that. Maybe a little bit on the crime bit, they would be like, okay, if it's a repeat offender, at least that person should go to jail. While the left would be like, nahi, nahi, बार बार crime करते रहो, रास्ते में मस्त में घूमते रहो, kind of a situation. Those are the minuscule differences. What happened was that because it's a society that is predominantly left wing, this entire Trump issue happens and NDP just gets smashed in the election. And the smashing of the NDP leads to the entire vote consolidating to the Canadian Liberal Party. Even the Greens significantly uh, going there. So in the end, even if you look at the actual numbers, right? If you look at so as of now, we're talking about elections Canada. Right now, 75,425 of the 75,479 polls have been reported. That's 99.93% polls. Zero point 0.7 are left. Some postal ballots are left to be reported. So don't be surprised if this 169 number of the Canadian Liberals right now goes to 172 because there are some 6 or 7 ridings that are very close and postal ballots are being counted there right now. They could flip in favor of the Liberals. So they might even have a simple majority. As of now, when we are speaking, there is a minority government.
Right.
The voter turnout this time was very good. This was probably the highest voter turnout in the last 21 years of Canadian politics. From 2004 till now, 68.7% of Canadians out of the registered electors. The total registered electors were 28, I think 2 crore 85 lakhs 25,638, out of which 1 crore 95 lakhs 97,674 have been counted as of now. This will also go. So I'm anticipating by the time the dust is settled, 69% of Canadians would have voted. So you can't even say that this was a low turnout
So
election. It
this
was
is a
a
good turnout.
very good turnout, which is why the liberals and the conservatives both got a lot of votes. In fact, the conservatives really got a lot of votes.
Hmm.
But because Canada is such a left wing society, the only way the conservatives, honestly, in my view, I mean, I know a lot of my co creators in Canada, especially I have a lot of friends in the conservative
Hmm.
space.
Hmm.
And they would not, and I would keep telling them, I was like, you guys can only win if the left splits. And if the left unites, I don't think so. There can ever be a right wing government in Canada. The, and the Canada has now become a two-party system in this election because and the reason NDP gets destroyed is because see Canada did not have a liberal problem.
Hmm.
What this election shows is Canada had a Trudeau Jagmeet problem.
We'll come to, in fact, Jagmeet, which would be my next question. But before that, if you could just give us a little bit on the Conservatives. We saw that Mr. Pierre lost, but a lot of his men, the advisors, they have won from their seats. Why was that? And how much of a role does the US and this Trump administration is to play in influencing the fall of the Conservatives there?
All right, so the reason Pierre lost Carlton is I think the boundaries of the riding were re you know changed. I think उनकी भी delimitation का process होता है. So
Okay.
some ridings were increased. I think slightly the nature of the riding changed,
Hmm.
and I think that might have cost him. There is no grand conspiracy in my view. He just lost because the left completely united, and he lost, and it is what it is. Listen, most likely, if he holds on to his power position, somebody from Calgary will give up a seat. He will fight in the by-election. He'll be in
Okay.
the parliament. Most likely, that's going to happen. As far as the other champions, they were all fighting safe seats. For
Hmm.
example, Oxford, Arpan Khanna, safe seat. Where Tim Uppal fights, safe seat. Where Jasraj Hallan fights,
When you
safe
say
seat.
safe seat, as in they have considerable following in those areas.
Those are conservative seats. That the equivalent of that is I'm from Mumbai, so I can tell you Mumbai
Got it.
North.
Yeah.
Mumbai North में मतलब even if we put a pigeon's face on a BJP ballot, the BJP will win.
That's how
Uh,
loyalists function in elections.
Yeah, so that's how it is. Or where Rahul Gandhi chose to fight in Kerala.
Yeah.
If you put anybody's face, any animal's face, and a Congress, they will win there.
Hmm.
It's like that. That's how politics is. These are safe seats for the conservatives. So actually, Pierre was winning it for all these years, but such was the left wing. Again, you study the elections of Carlton, all these things. Like the vote was getting split. This time it does not get split, and this is where we are. But I'm not really worried about that. I think what has happened in this election, if you ask me about the Conservative Party, is I don't know the equivalent in the English language. In our Mumbai language, इसको बोलते हैं पियर का पोपट हो गया. So I think that is the perfect. So what these people who are advising, see, the Conservatives should have performed better than 144 in my view.
Hmm.
I was anticipating the Conservative Party to be stuck around 155
Hmm.
if they would have managed. See, the road to Ottawa, whether somebody likes it or not, is actually literally based on two phone codes, 905 and 416, which is the Greater Toronto region. So Toronto में 24 ridings हैं, constituencies,
Hmm.
6 Mississauga, 6 Brampton, 36, 36. In these 36 ridings, 18 for sure has the concentration of people of Indian origin or South Asians.
Okay.
You don't get your politics right over here, you cannot go to Ottawa. The Liberals usually get it right. Harper, along with Kenny, got it right. And Harper was that guy who won the 905 region, and that's why he got that majority. Basically, I know it sounds so insane, but actually, people of Indian origin are a very significantly important vote bank in this community. What happens in the conservatives is, see, I've been very critical of these four: Paramgil, Arpan Khanna, Tim Uppal, and Jasraj Hallan, and I have nothing personal against them. कौन सा मेरे रिश्तेदार हैं? But I care about the community in Canada in general. These guys, 95% of the things that I know, I will not be saying on the camera because forget it, मेरे को क्या करना है. But they basically tickets were distributed in a ham-handed manner. People who have never worked, let's say I am, I'll give you an example of Jeff Lal, who actually fought from the PPC, got 2,298 votes, and made sure that Conservatives lost in Brampton, one of the Brampton constituencies. Jeff Lal created 3,000 members just a few weeks ago for the Conservative Party of Canada. But again, Jeff Lal was not somebody, the Khalistani contingent inside the Canadian political diaspora. See, the Khalistanis are everywhere, right? So they decide who fights for the Liberals and the Conservatives. Both. So they did not like Jeff Lal. Jeff Lal is actually the hero of the entire election. उसने बेसिकली वो अमर अमर एंथनी वाला सीन कर दिया ना, तुम हमको इतना मारा, ये मारा, वो मारा, हम तुमको एक मारा, मगर सॉलिड मारा ना. So Jeff Lal basically caused that. So this is the story why conservatives could not manage it. They completely mismanaged the GTA. Some of us, as just well-wishers of Canada, would keep sending them messages. Ki, guys, you're messing up your GTA. So you remember last year from the Diwali fiasco when we had spoken. During the Diwali fiasco, I had told you, and everything I had predicted to you has happened in this election. Why? Because I was like, these guys are falling for the Khalistani trap. They're not. In fact, the classic jibe at the Indian community was that they don't vote. I urge everyone to look at all the ridings of Brampton and look at the voting percentage this time. Indians have come out and voted in droves. Most of them actually voted Conservative or PPC. So the two right-wing options they voted for, either the centrist right-wing option or the slightly right option in PPC.
Yeah.
But they only voted there. But all your candidates were Khalistani adjacent. So you're going to lose. And this is the story of the Conservative Party. They mismanaged the GTA. They completely mismanaged the Indian strategy. Notice, पता नहीं आपने देखा कि नहीं, Ananya. Carney did not go to a Khalistani rally. Carney did not. The moment Carney became the prime minister, you don't see him around any Khalistani.
Yeah.
But are there no Khalistanis in the Canadian political outfit that Carney belongs to? There are. Sukh ढाली वाले हैं और भी हैं, बहुत लोग हैं. There are. But he knew how to manage the sides. He knows about the rift in the Indian community.
He was much more careful about it.
And he wants to improve relations with India.
Right.
Relations with India are an electoral issue for Indians over there. Whether they like it or not is a separate issue. Too bad. It is an issue.
Right.
So the conservatives, भाई पियर पॉलिएव से हाथ घुमा रहा है, वो खालिस्तानी डे परेड पे अब भी गया था. Every time he was advised, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. He still does it. भाई तुम गुरुद्वारे में जाके सेवा कर दो ना, वो फोटो डाल दो, ऑप्टिक्स करने तो. कार्नी ने वो ऑप्टिक्स किए. The results are there. The conservatives snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Right. But now coming to the New Democrats, Jadgmeet Singh's political trajectory, has seen a steep decline in this election. Now, did the Indian community become a pivotal point in this election, like you rightly mentioned? But when it comes to Jadgmeet Singh's performance, how much of a gain is Jadgmeet Singh's loss?
क्या लॉस है जगमीत सिंह का? He has his pension.
कनाडा का कितना गेन है उनके हारने से?
Oh, Canada has lost so much that Jagmeet Singh losing one election is not enough. That man sat on all bad policies for the last 2-3 years. He should have pulled the plug on this government and let Justin Fright, Pierre, and let the Conservatives come to power. He did not let that happen. He passed every bad immigration bill and every bad law that has created this fiscal hellhole that Canada is becoming. Jagmeet Singh losing an election is not even sufficient punishment. His party losing his national status is not enough punishment for what that man has done to a beautiful country like Canada. Jagmeet Singh deserves far worse.
A peek into, who is Jagmeet Singh and what his influence was, what has he been doing in the past years?
So he started with something called the Sikh Youth Network, a very radical youth outfit. It no longer exists. There is a famous video from 15-16 where he's in UK in that, some conference where he's on the stage with this guy, if I remember correctly, his name is Shamsher Singh. I think an Indian media house had done a sting on Shamsher Singh also. I don't know, it was Times Now or Republic, मेरे को कुछ याद नहीं है, but it was a proper sting operation on Shamsher Singh. He has really wonderful thoughts, Shamsher Singh, about blowing people up, killing Indian officers, such as normal thoughts that people have. Shamsher Singh did. And you have Jagmeet Singh on stage talking about how these thoughts are gangster thoughts. These are gangster people. And this clip is available multiple times on the internet. And this is Jagmeet Singh's journey. Then he gets slowly pushed into one political party. This boy's from Ontario, by the way, originally. Gets skyrocketed into Khalistan Central, British Columbia. From there, he takes over a party, NDP. And remember, NDP. So कैसा होता है कनाडा में the federal conservatives and the federal liberals may not necessarily be the same as the provincial conservatives and the provincial liberals. अलग अलग memberships हैं. So let's say if I am a member of the Doug Ford Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario, it doesn't mean I am a member of the Federal Conservative Party. They are two separate entities. Their membership drives are different. Their fundraisers are different. Everything is different. NDP ऐसा नहीं है. NDP में you can carry your membership. And the Khalistanis rigged the NDP primary like magic. And they rigged and made Jagmeet the leader. And Jagmeet is like, I hope Jagmeet becomes the brand ambassador of RCB and they lose. Because Jagmeet Singh जिसको भी हाथ लगाता है, उसका बैंड बज जाता है. And this is his journey. There is a famous interview of a veteran Canadian journalist who wrote probably one of the best books on Khalistan, Terry Milevsky. He worked for the CBC, where Terry Milevsky keeps on asking Jagmeet Singh about the Air India bombers. Will he condemn them? And he refuses to do it. It is only after the tremendous backlash that he says, "Oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe." He has never looked back since then. He avoids the media. Notice even now when the Pahalgam attack happened, right? First of all, the Canadians are weird. They were probably the last G7 nation to even condemn the attack by the terrorists, and even that was a wishy-washy statement written by the Khalislamists of Canada. Khalislam means Islamism and Khalistan together in one dabba ऐसे हिला के वो Khalislam आता है बाहर, and Jagmeet did not even bother to comment on it. So clearly, Jagmeet is a real world radicalized human being. And I'm glad India doesn't allow him to enter.
Right. But with Injustice Trudeau's tenure, we have seen attacks like the attacks on temples in Brampton, what we saw, these clashes spilling over streets of Canada. But now with the change in regime, what do you see next? I mean, do you see the scenario changing in Canada?
You mean in terms of the Khalistan influence on Canadian politics?
Right.
No, I don't think so. I think the Khalistanis have a vice-like grip on the Canadian political class. The only way this grip can be released is if the Canadian political class develops a spine. I don't know if Mark Carney is that person. Harper was. Harper had a spine. Harper would just say, buzz off. I'm not listening to you. And don't tell me what I'm supposed to do. Please remember, it was only under the Harper regime that, albeit a bilateral or multilateral visit, Dr. Manmohan Singh had gone. And then afterwards, in a one-on-one meet, Prime Minister Modi had come. It was only under Harper all these things happened. So Harper was the aberration. I hear things from my sources in Government of India that the Carney regime is actively reaching out to India. They want to mend relations. And that's, I don't know. And India, honestly, is not interested in mending relations with Canada, is because the trust is just completely destroyed between India and Canada. As far as the local politics and the influence of Khalistanis are concerned, well, listen, I don't know how many, 22 Punjabis have been elected to the latest parliament. Talk about lack of diversity, right? as if no other community of Indian origin exists in Canada. Only Punjab. I mean, this is coming from a Punjabi, by the way, right? I mean, you are also Punjabi. Both of us are Punjabis. I mean, for people who talk about diversity in a country, they seem to find only one type of Indians. No Gujaratis, no Tamilians, no Telugu people, no Marathis, only Punjabis. 22 Punjabis in the freaking Canadian Parliament. As a Hindu Punjabi or as a Punjabi, I find it nauseating. Honestly, it's disgusting. Two Hindus in that, Anita on the left and Arpan Khanna on the right. Arpan Khanna, who's called Khalistani Khanna. And uh, I just see no hope because these are all the same people. Just imagine, Sukhman Gill is going to be a member of parliament. He won Abbotsford South Langley. Nobody knew him in Abbotsford South Langley. Nobody knows who he is. He did not go on any debate in the campaign. They protected him. They shut down his entire social media accounts when the videos of him rigging the primaries emerged. He still won because they somehow managed the votes there. But the point is, this is the state of affairs. How will the Khalistani vice like grip on the system reduce?
But even
How?
the local population was not very happy with Trudeau, considering the resources were limited. There were so many protests. In fact, in one of the interviews, you were talking about how there are big posters against Trudeau that are visible on the road.
Yeah.
So they were not very happy. But what about Carney? Is it going to domestically for Canada? Is it going to become any better? So Carney is not really good news, is what you're saying?
यार वी डोंट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट कार्नी ना. एक तो वो पार्लियामेंट में भी नहीं जा पा रहा था. दैट्स व्हाई ही हैड टू डू द स्नैप पोल्स. Trump has basically given them an easy road ahead. Now let's see. You have to wait for 1 year for Carney to really be exposed. He comes off as so jittery.
Hmm.
But the moment he speaks to the media, he goes into abba dabba jabba mode. He doesn't understand what to talk. He's not a politician. He's a banker, right? He's a banker. He has never done politics. I don't know how he's going to be very honest. But I'm not someone like the typical Canadian conservatives are, oh, he's a globalist. I don't know. My thing is, I have to give someone 1 year before, passing a judgment. I can't judge people. I mean, as far as the policy is concerned, he came, he removed the carbon tax on consumers. Now people might say conservatives ne bola iske liye. Whatever he did, he tweaked the GST on the first house. Again, people will like conservatives ne bola. He did, right? So the point is, he did a few fiscal corrections. My
Hmm.
problem is that he's too much into the gender ideology, which I think is very unpopular even in the left now in Canada. So I think
Okay.
he might have to tweak that now and a little bit on the green bit because Canada cannot solve this problem. What Canada needs to worry about this election, post this election, is not Quebec separation. They need to worry about the separation of Alberta.
Hmm.
I don't know how many people have listened to the Alberta Premier's speech today, where she has reduced the threshold for the referendum requirement. She said, I'm not going to initiate it, but if it's a citizens' movement, I'm not going to stop it. I think this is her political jugglery. मेरे को तेल निकालने दे, मेरे फटे में टांग मत अड़ा, नहीं तो मैं अलग हो जाऊंगी. That's the Alberta way. I think Alberta is becoming the next Quebec. Basically, what Quebec does ना, तुम करते हो कि नहीं तो हम छोड़ देंगे. So I think Alberta is also doing the same thing. तुम करते हो कि नहीं तो हम छोड़ देंगे. I think what the best example is California and Texas in America, Alberta and Quebec in Canada. ये दोनों province वैसे हैं. एक Alberta में कभी left जीतेगा नहीं और Quebec अपनी दुनिया में रहता है.
But what about NDP now? I mean, it faces an uncertain future. And what is next for Trudeau?
Trudeau will probably get a role in Punjabi cinema where you might see him working, singing and dancing Diljit Dosanjh, doing shows around the world. That's the only. यार why would I care about Trudeau's future? उसका बाप साला politician. तो बाप ने इतने पैसे खाए होंगे, उसके बाद बेटे ने इतने पैसे खाए होंगे, मुस्टंडा इतना पैसे वाला है, मस्त में मजे करेगा, उसको क्या लेना देना. ही इज डन. उसने बर्बाद किया देश को 12-14 साल बर्बाद करके अच्छे पैसे बना के हमारा राजा घूमेगा. आई एम टेलिंग यू ही इज गोइंग टू बी द नेक्स्ट पंजाबी सुपरस्टार. That's all he can do. Nobody else is going to. अरे the Khalistanis called him जथेदार in some rally in UK. ऐसा साडा जथेदार जस्टिंदर ट्रूडो, उसको जथेदार बोलते हैं. Notice in the Khalsa Day parade, Trudeau was given a special award, not Carney, the recent one in British Columbia. Sukh Taliwal took that award on behalf of Justin Trudeau. ਵੱਡੀ ਵੱਡੀ certificate ਦੀ photo ਪਾਈ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ. So Trudeau has a great role in Punjabi cinema. I'm telling you. देखना, he'll be a superstar.
Before I ask for your closing remarks, one main question that, of course, bothers us sitting here in India, that on a diplomatic front, there appears to be a reset. Like, the MEA is now talking of appointing a new High Commissioner to Canada, and PM Modi also tweeted congratulations to the new Prime Minister. So, where are we heading now with Carney becoming the new Prime Minister? How do you see India-Canada relations evolve from here?
If Carney keeps the case away, Khalistanis, and he doesn't listen to the Chinese caucus beyond a point, I can actually see India-Canada relations not only improving, thriving under Carney. Because don't forget, what is Carney's background? He's from Brookfield. Now, I'd urge everyone to check the investments of Brookfield in India. There are almost $30 billion investments of Brookfield in India. Carney knows he can't, beyond a point, screw relations with India. यार ये सब, अरे he has nothing to do with Brookfield now. यार अपने आप से झूठ बोलना बंद करो. वो पॉलिटिशियन है. वो वहां से निकला, यहाँ आया, उसने ऐसे बोला हाँ हाँ मैं तो उनसे कुछ लेना देना नहीं. ऑब्वियसली उसका लेना देना है. इतना साल उसने उधर काम किया है. I mean, for God's sake, like obviously he's not going to, because Brookfield वाले उसको कॉल करेंगे, बोलेंगे चाचा भाई मेरा पैसा उधर, इनसे झगड़ा बंद कर. So it's like that. I think that's my reason why Carney might solve relations with India. It's because Brookfield के इतने पैसे लगे हुए हैं इधर, उनको डर लगता होगा. दूसरा, I think Carney doesn't really, from my sources inside the Liberal Party, I've heard Carney has actually said, I don't need the Khalistani money. I mean, he's got real money, to be very honest. He doesn't need Khalistani money, is the fact. See, that's what devoured Pierre Poilievre. पैसे के चक्कर में मर गया वो खालिस्तानियों ने दबा दबा के फंड रेजर किए. I know there was a fundraiser just 4 or 5 weeks ago, 4 5 maybe 8 weeks ago, where $1.8 million were raised for the Conservative Party. So अभी मत पूछना किसने कराया, मगर नाम मुझे भी मालूम है.
So there could be, I mean, this is a good change as far as
Yeah,
India-Canada relations are
could
concerned.
be, could be, huh?
Could be.
Could be, and that's a big could.
Yeah. And now your closing remarks. What are you hearing from the people? You have so many people that you speak to in Canada. How are they seeing this election? How will it turn out on the ground?
It depends. I mean, if you talk to the boomers, they are all elbows up, Carney. If you talk to the young generation, they're like, अरे बूढ़ो तुमने हमको फंसा दिया. ऑनेस्ट आंसर बोल रहा हूँ. मैं ना, अगर मुझे वो चार्ट मिला तो मैं भेजूंगा व्हाट्सएप पे आपको. Please check that chart. The gap between the elders and the youngsters, the entire youth is all conservative now in Canada. Because क्या होता है में, उनको घर खरीदने हैं. ओल्ड लोगों को घर नहीं खरीदने, उनके तो घर थे, उनकी मॉर्गेजें हो गई, वो ये जाड़ी जाड़ी मोटी मोटी सोशल वेलफेयर स्कीम्स पे बैठे हुए हैं. उनको तो नेचुरली लिबरल्स अच्छे लगेंगे. प्रॉब्लम ये है जो यंग आदमी हो, बोलता है ओ भाई मैं भिखारी हो गया हूं, मेरे को पैसा देने के लिए नहीं है, इसको निकालो यहां से, ये देश कैसे चलेगा. I have never seen a more divided society, Ananya, to be very honest. There is a real, and it's an age divide. Really, something is off with the 50 and above Canadian. They are not looking at the future of the young Canadian. Listen, it's not about a liberal and conservative. You can't have this level of social welfareism anywhere in the world. It's a time bomb, it will explode. Canada is at a very precarious position as a society. I don't know how Mark Carney is going to negotiate with Trump, because Trump is not a, this is, I mean, I have to appreciate how the government of India has negotiated with Trump. We have managed Trump far better than the most of the, Australia has also managed Trump very well. I would appreciate Albanese, the left wing guy. He's also managed Trump very well. But oh my goodness, Mark Carney, if he messes that, because 70% of their trade is with America. If America screws them over, Mark Carney क्या उसकी साथ पुश्ते नहीं कुछ कर सकती. Then you are having a re-election in Canada, come what may.
But you're saying that, I mean, it is expected that it would be better than what it was under Trudeau.
Oh, anything would be better than Trudeau.
As far as the relations with America also is concerned.
Obviously, anything will be better than Trudeau. Like I told you, even a lamppost is better than Trudeau. Trudeau was like I see. Trudeau was a वो पुरुष नहीं है, वो महापुरुष है, वो मतलब वो एक अलग स्पीशीज है वो. I have never come across a more incompetent politician in my life. I think I'm so proud of Rahul Gandhi after looking at Justin Trudeau.
But when it comes to voting in Canada, what do you think were the most important factors in the mind of the voter when they went out to push that button?
So, there was a very interested chart that was posted by Abacus uh, data, and that chart shows that for the 60 and over, dealing with Donald Trump was the most important issue. Imagine, Orange Man was the most important issue for 60 and over, while for 30 to 44, reducing your cost of living was an issue. The same was the case for 18 to 29. So it shows I have never seen a society with more misplaced priorities than the Canadian 60 and over society. Donald Trump should not be an issue. Your issue should have been reducing your cost of living, which was a direct influence of Justin Trudeau and the liberal NDP policies. But honestly, they just shot themselves in the foot. They literally shot themselves in the foot this time around, where I think Canada is going to pay dearly for what they've decided for themselves. But let's see.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kushal Mehra, for your insight into Canadian election. And let's see what happens from here and how India-Canada relations evolve from here after such a setback under Trudeau's administration in the last years. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.